Okay, it's 12:01. I'll get started. Welcome everyone to the Tuesday edition of 15 Minutes of Positivity. So Tuesday being Attention Training Tuesdays, so that will be the theme for today. And yeah, here's sort of how I'm thinking about attention training today. Been working with some clients, doing some coaching, and anxiety is a pretty ubiquitous experience for so many of us, right? And there's something about these anxious thoughts and experiences when they kick in. There's this tendency for our mind to get confused, right? We attach to these thoughts or these beliefs in that moment, and because we believe the content of the thoughts, there's a sense of everything else disappears. Like we literally become fused with those thoughts. Same thing, I think, for emotions, and same thing for sensations as well. And so there's this truth here, which is when we think without knowing that we're thinking, we get confused fundamentally about who and what we are. And the same thing with feelings. So when we have really strong feelings in our body or emotions, they can be strong enough that we literally believe that this is sort of the only universal truth of what's happening in that moment. And so in today's meditation, I want to focus on the space in between the thoughts, the feelings, and the sensations that we experience. And the way to do this is we use these two tools here: focus. So our ability to focus on, and I think we all have this underlying experience with what it means to focus on something. So we zero in, we shine the spotlight of our attention on either the thoughts or the sounds or the the visuals, whatever is happening, and then we try to keep our focus on whatever we're choosing, and we call that concentration. So focus over time equals concentration. And this is, of course, is easier said than done, because most of us have these active minds that will sort of hijack our focus and our concentration pretty quickly. And so part of this attention training process is just to, when that happens, we want to be able to notice that our thoughts or our feelings or these sensations have sort of run away with us and that we're identifying with them. And then just bring our attention back and start over. And that's really fundamentally, this tool of attention training here. And if we can do that really well, it does literally become a kind of superpower in our day to day. So in the future, then when we begin to notice anxious thoughts, usually we just get caught up in it. But if we can know that we're thinking, like if we can actually see the fact that we're thinking, then we don't get confused with the fact that this is just an anxious thought. It doesn't define who I am, doesn't mean it's necessarily true nor useful. And I can actually then, create some space between it and focus my attention on something of my choosing. So that's sort of the underlying goal here. So let's try that. Let's practice. So as per usual, let's close our eyes. Put feet flat on the ground. And notice what it's like to sit in your chair. You're lying down, noticing the couch or the bed. And just for a moment, bring your attention to your mind, your thoughts, and just take a quick inventory of how's your mind doing in this moment. Again, you're not trying to change anything, just taking a step back and shining the spotlight of your attention on the mind and noticing any images, any thoughts, beliefs, and just notice. The idea here is that if we don't know that we're thinking, we're not aware of the mind thinking, then we can very easily get confused about who and what we are. If your attention dissipates, you get distracted by actually attaching to the content of the thoughts. Again, totally normal. See if you can just gently bring yourself back to more of this observer stance. And again, just focus and wait patiently. Just focus on the mind. Just see what images, what beliefs, what words appear. Simply watch them. Just focus and concentrate. Definitely an element of patience we want to activate here. This observer stance is really about just taking a step back, not trying to force anything. Now let's shift the locus of our attention to sounds. Again, just hang back and just notice what sounds the ears are picking up. Notice the space between you, the witnesser, and the sounds that are happening out there. We don't create the sounds, they're happening. All we're doing is we're just paying attention, becoming aware of the fact that sound is happening. And notice, so long as you're aware of the fact that you are witnessing sounds, we don't get confused. Like we don't ever really believe that we are the sounds. We know for a fact that they're happening out there. There's space between the sounds and us witnessing those sounds. And then let's, for a brief period of time, shift our attention back to observing thoughts. And the same thing applies here, noticing that thoughts, just like sounds, they happen out there somewhere. And as long as we're clear that we are not the thoughts, we're not the sounds, and we can notice the space between our consciousness, observe the content of the thoughts without getting confused. Now, still with eyes closed, shift your attention to sight. Notice that even though eyes are closed, you can still see colors, shapes, movement. Again, focusing your attention on what it's like to be the experiencer or the witnesser of these shapes and these colors dancing against the background of the darkness of your closed eyes. And then let's shift our attention one more time to sound. Noticing the sounds out there and the space between the sounds and us. Maybe one last time, coming back to thoughts, shifting our attention back to observing thoughts. And again, there, noticing the space between the thoughts, the images, the ideas, and consciousness, or the space in between the thoughts. Go ahead and take a deep breath in. Exhaling all the way, focusing your attention on the sensation of the exhale. And hold the exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Once more, really focusing attention on the sensation. So inhale. Exhale all the way. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And go ahead and open your eyes. Come on back to the session. So I hope that wasn't too esoteric or out there. I've been noticing, just more and more the how powerful or empowering it can be to really cultivate that ability to see more clearly that we're not our thoughts, we're not our feelings, we're not our sensations. These are experiences that we have, and when we become really clear about that, life just becomes a little gentler and lighter. So hoping that was helpful. See you tomorrow at noon. I'll stick around for a few minutes if anyone wants to connect, and have a great day, everyone. See ya.